the largest winter storm to hit the desert in years, including the first blizzard warning for San Diego County in history, bore down on the San Diego Backcountry. A ferocious mix of driving wind, torrential rain, and blinding snow tested our resilience, and preparation separated those experiencing quirky backcountry rustic living from those facing hardship. Yes, being prepared, the one survival attribute that can't be mustered up in the face of adversity, only planned and executed in advance, is what will give us a fighting chance of getting through. There comes a point in every person's life where they realize they're alone. I recall my moment vividly. I was in my first apartment in Brooklyn, in a decrepit rowhouse, on a cold, windy night, when the ancient knob and tube wired electricity went out. After several panicked minutes in the dark, I realized not only was I alone in my apartment, I was alone in the rowhouse, and had to find my way to the menacing cellar to find the circuit breaker. Without a flashlight, I found my way down the stairs with a lighter, only to discover to my horror on my last step that this cellar had a dirt floor. Yes, in 2004, in the United States of America, and certainly at no discounted price, my feet were sinking into a dirt floor in a city infested with rats and cockroaches. As one always does, simply out of necessity, I rose to the occasion, stood straight, held my head up high, and found the circuit breakers, managing to get the power back on. But at that moment, I vowed to never be caught unprepared again. During the storm, when I was reading a book by solar lantern light, listening to music, drinking a delicious Central Coast California Cabernet Sauvignon, and eating all the snacks in the house, I recalled that moment in Brooklyn, almost 20 years ago. The nature of life is tenuous in the San Diego Backcountry, living day to day, just barely tethered to so-called civilization, and so easily disconnected. Just managing the basics is challenging each day. And when disaster hits, you're on your own. It's so easy to get complacent. After all, who needs one more bag of groceries to carry? Or who wants to make yet more room for emergency supplies? But when disaster hits, knowing that you'll have the basic essentials and that you'll be okay is the greatest reassurance there is. When the comforts and conveniences of contemporary life are gone, you are forced to revert back to a simpler way of life. It makes you appreciate what's really important and what you truly need. As long as I have a strong cup of Cuban coffee in the morning, a glass of wine in the evening, clean water to drink, and enough food to keep my stomach from growling, I'm quite content living a rustic life. The biggest takeaway from this storm is how vulnerable we are. Even with double pane windows and insulation, how quickly our homes become unbearably cold when unheated on a freezing, windy night. Or how difficult it will be to have water to drink and clean with if you can't trust the water coming out of the taps, or worse, if there's none at all. We are so vulnerable, and we have such a narrow range of temperatures that we can comfortably survive. It's no wonder that we have an irrationally strong attachment to our homes and vehicles, our last refuges of safety. My one request to you this year is to accept that vulnerability and be prepared for what may come. Each disaster is a preview of a bigger disaster in the future. Pay attention to what you need, and most importantly, take notes. When the disaster passes, you're likely to go right back to normal and forget. Yes, we are vulnerable, but we are also intelligent, resilient, and capable of preparing everything we need. But only if we choose to be. As the storm rolled into the mountains, I seized the moment to make time-lapse videos. The clouds lifted and revealed the snow on the mountains. It's so rare when the clouds are moving across the sky, but it isn't rainy or windy, and I wanted to share the incredible panoramic views with you. Thank you so much for joining me on my journey of discovery and spending time with me here on my channel, Desert Mountain Apothecary.